Due to Jonathan Quick being traded, let's talk about it. Jonathan Quick was drafted in the 3rd round, 72nd overall in the 2005 NHL Draft. Born in Milford, Connecticut, Quick went on to stay in New England and play for UMass for 2 years. In his freshman year, he had 17 games played with a record of 4-10-1, a 2.98 goals against average, and a .920 save percentage. This was an extremely strong showing for Quick and showed why he was drafted in the 3rd round. In his sophomore year, he would build upon his resume and become the starter for UMass. In 37 games played, he had a record of 19, 12, and 5, a 2.16 goals against average, a .929 save percentage. He was one of the best goalies in Hockey East. After this strong showing, he decided to turn pro. In the 07-08 season, he had a meteoric rise within the Kings organization. He went from the Reading Royals, the ECHL affiliate. He had 38 games played, 23-11-3 record, 2.79 goals against average, a .905 save percentage. He ended up getting called up to their AHL affiliate, the Manchester Monarchs, where he played 19 games, 11-8 record, 2.32 goals against average, a .922 save percentage. This made the Kings decide to give him some NHL time. It wasn't really an instant success because in 3 games played, he had a 1-2 record, a 3.84 goals against average, an .855 save percentage, but he had those flashes of athleticism and explosiveness, and that is why they drafted him. So the next season, he would start out in the AHL with the Monarchs. In 14 games played, he went 6-5-2 with a 2.68 goals against average, a .919 save percentage, and the Kings organization said, you know what, let's give this kid a shot. After this good start, he got called up to the NHL where he would never look back. He played in 44 games in his rookie season, 21-18-2 record with a 2.48 goals against average, a .914 save percentage. From 07-08 until 2022-2023, he would be a mainstay within LA, being one of the best goalies in the world and helped propel the Kings to 2 Stanley Cup champions. Let's talk about those 2 Stanley Cup runs. In 2011-2012, he had a strong regular season playing 69 games, with a record of 35, 21, and 13, a 1.95 goals against average, a .929 save percentage. This would pale in comparison to what he would perform in the postseason, where he had legendary numbers. He had the single greatest playoff run in NHL history with a record of 16-4, a 1.41 goals against average, and a .946 save percentage. His .946 save percentage and 1.41 goals against average is the best in both categories for a cup winner in NHL history. He single-handedly had the greatest run for a goaltender ever. This would cement Quick's legend and would be the jump-off point for his reputation as a clutch goalie. He would always raise his level in the postseason. He would end up backstopping the Kings to another cup in 2013-2014 with a record of 16-10, 2.58 goals against average, and .911 save percentage. Well, not the monstrous numbers of his first cup run in that postseason. He would make timely and acrobatic saves to help the Kings raise another Stanley Cup. So, after raising 2 cups for the LA Kings, what would cause them to end up dealing Quick to the Columbus Blue Jackets? Quick has not played well this season. He has struggled mightily. In 31 games played, he has a record of 11-13-4, 3.50 goals against average, 876 save percentage. These are not good numbers at all, but to be fair, Copley, the other goalie, only has a 2.82 goals against average and 899 save percentage, but the big difference is their record. Copley has a record of 18-4-2. Cal Peterson was looked as the future in net, but he was absolutely horrific and sent back down to the minors. So I'm not sure what the LA Kings' long-term plans are. So let's talk about the trade. Does Korpisalo and Gavrikov make sense for the Kings to get? Absolutely, because they need to shore up their defense. And Korpisalo, in 28 games played, is 11-11-3 with a 3.17 goals against average and a .913 save percentage. Korpisalo is going to be their number 1 goalie. He put those numbers up in Columbus, who are struggling a lot this season. This could help shore up the Kings for a playoff run. Even with those positives, this is an absolute disrespectful manner in which to treat a franchise legend. Without Quick, the LA Kings do not win those cups. He is the greatest goaltender in LA Kings history. With 370 wins, he has 199 more wins than the guy in second place, Raji Vachon. To deal an icon to one of the worst teams in the league while you are in a playoff spot, it's a slap in the face to Quick, who brought you 2 Stanley Cups. You could make this deal while having 3 goalies on your roster. You didn't have to deal Quick. I'm not saying you should keep him forever. Have the conversation in the offseason if you feel like the game is passing him by, but to make this move is something that could have repercussions within that locker room. Quick is an LA Kings leader in every single goalie stat within their franchise. He's also a leader in that locker room. Sometimes moves can be difficult, and I understand that, but this is a move that should have never happened. He helped you build this franchise out to become something respectable. And to just move him to a bottom feeder, it just doesn't sit well with me. It's funny because last year he didn't do too bad. A 9-10 save percentage, 2.59 goals against average, in 46 games played, 23-13-9 record. In 7 games of the postseason, he had 3.43 goals against average, a 904 save percentage, and a 3-4 record. Like, in that postseason, while those records aren't earth-shattering by any stretch of the imagination, he made some remarkable saves and kept you in some of those games. So this season's been a rough one for pretty much every goalie within that organization. And instead of keeping him on as a third goaltender and maybe doing a rotation, you spit in his face and trade him to Columbus. I'm just not a big fan of that. I believe Quick is one of those players that deserves that conversation, deserves the respect where, hey, the game's passing you by, maybe you should retire. But for Rob Blake to make this move, absolutely gutless. I'm Captain Paul for The Locker Room. I'd be interested to know your thoughts down below. I'll see you in the next video.
The Conn Smythe Trophy as the most valuable player in the playoffs is Jonathan Quick.